My daughter sold our family vineyard while I was dying in the hospital. I am Marianne Foster, and I thought I had raised an honest woman. Vanessa figured she would inherit everything anyway, so why wait? She had vacation plans with her husband, expensive tastes, and a dying mother who would never know the difference. What she did not know was that her simple vineyard owner mother had a few secrets of her own, secrets worth approximately $520 million. When I found out what she had done, I did not yell, I did not threaten, I just made a few phone calls. If you are watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. This is a story about family, respect, and what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. It started 4 months ago when my heart decided to remind me I am not as young as I feel. July 18th, 2024. Stanford Medical Center. Room 428. The last thing I remember before going under was telling Vanessa to take care of the vineyard. I should have seen the signs earlier. Looking back, they were all there. For months before my heart attack, Vanessa had been different, rolling her eyes whenever I talked about the old days, making comments about upgrading our lifestyle. Her husband Derek was worse. He would post on Instagram about our vineyard being that old place while standing in my tasting room drinking my wine. The disrespect started small. Family dinner back in April. Vanessa interrupted me mid-sentence. "Mom, you are 68. Time to let the younger generation handle things." Handle what things? Everything. The vineyard, the finances, the future. Derek nodded along, recording himself for his Instagram story. 18,000 followers hanging on every word about how they were finally moving forward. I tried to explain that the vineyard was not just about wine anymore, that there were other considerations, other investments. Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. Other investments? "Mom, you drive a 2019 Chevy Silverado. You shop at Costco. What investments?" Derek chimed in from behind his phone. "Babe, your mom is just scared of change. Old people get like that. Old people." I was sitting right there. The second sign came in May. I had mentioned needing to fly to San Francisco for a business meeting. Vanessa's reaction was immediate. "What business? Mom, you are retired. You grow grapes and make wine. There are some matters that require my attention." "What matters? Who are you meeting with?" I had kept my business life separate from vineyard life for 40 years. Old habit. But Vanessa took my privacy as proof of confusion. "Derek thinks you might be getting, confused about things. Making up meetings that do not exist." I looked at my son-in-law. He was posting another story. This time about dealing with elderly parents who live in fantasy worlds. They thought I was losing my mind. The truth was simpler. I had built something they could not comprehend because I had never told them about it. Back in 1988, I had invented an automated grape quality analyzer, patent number US 11842567. That little invention became the foundation of VitaTech systems. But they did not know that. To them, I was just an old vineyard owner who wore the same denim shirt every day, who preferred work boots to heels, who paid cash for everything and lived in the same house my great-grandmother built in 1921. They could not see past the surface. Vanessa started talking about me like I was not there. "Derek and I have been discussing Mom's situation. We think it is time for some changes." "What kind of changes?" "Power of attorney. For when you cannot make decisions anymore." "I can make decisions just fine. Can you? Because yesterday you could not remember where you put your keys." I had put them in my locked office, the office where I kept my computers, my patent documents, my direct line to VitaTech headquarters. But I could not explain that without explaining everything else. So I just looked old and confused. Derek kept documenting it all. Our family meetings about Mom's declining health. His concern for Vanessa's inheritance getting mismanaged. The stress of dealing with stubborn elderly relatives. He was building a narrative. I just did not realize how far he was willing to take it. The night before my heart attack, I overheard them in the guest house. "The vineyard is worth at least $3 million, Vanessa was saying. "Maybe more. So, why are we living like we are poor?" Derek's voice carried that edge it always had when talking about money, because Mom controls everything and she is never going to change. Well, maybe something will change that. I thought they were just venting, young people complaining about inheritance they had not earned yet. I had no idea they were planning to speed up the timeline. When I woke up from surgery on July 21st, Vanessa was sitting beside my hospital bed with papers. "Mom, I need you to sign these." My vision was still blurry from the anesthesia. "What are they?" "Just insurance stuff. Medical power of attorney, in case something happens." I should have read them, but my daughter was holding them, talking about protecting me, making sure I got the best care. What mother does not trust her own child? I signed. 4 days later, while I was still unconscious from a second surgery, Vanessa used that power of attorney to sell our 560-acre vineyard to Golden State Properties for $1.4 million. Our vineyard. 4 generations of foster family history, gone in one afternoon. The paperwork was dated July 25th, 4:22 p.m. Vanessa had walked into First National Bank of Napa Valley with her fraudulent power of attorney and walked out with a cashier's check for $1.4 million. The real value of that land? $4.2 million. I had it appraised 8 months earlier for estate planning purposes. Vanessa sold it for less than a third of what it was worth. But here is what made it worse. She did not sell it because she needed money for my medical care. My hospital bills totaled $142,000. I had paid them myself in cash to avoid burdening the family. She sold it to fund a vacation. By July 28th, Vanessa and Derek were posting Instagram stories from Santorini, Greece, luxury cliffside resort, $9,000 per night. Swimming in infinity pools, champagne breakfasts, sunset dinners that cost more than most people make in a month. Derek's post from their private villa had the caption, "Finally living the life we deserve. Sometimes you have to take control of your own destiny. #blessed. #millionaire mindset. #living my best life." He tagged the location. He tagged the resort. He even tagged the bottle of wine. Chateau Margaux. $450. While I was learning to walk again in physical therapy, they were drinking wine that cost more than my weekly rehab sessions. The math was simple. 7 weeks in Santorini, first-class flights, 5-star accommodations, shopping sprees that Derek documented religiously. They had burned through $108,000 in less than 2 months. But that was not the real loss. The real loss was trust. The real loss was watching my daughter celebrate erasing her family's legacy while her mother fought to survive. The real loss was knowing that if I had actually died, she would have gotten away with it. Let me tell you about that vineyard. My great-grandmother Eliza Foster planted the first vines in 1921. Prohibition had just started, but she believed it would not last. She was a black woman in Napa Valley when black women were not supposed to own anything, let alone prime vineyard land, but she had saved every penny from working as a cook for wealthy families. She bought those 560 acres for $2,000. The white landowners laughed at her, said the soil was no good, said she would fail within a year. Eliza proved them wrong. She planted Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. When Prohibition ended in 1933, Foster Family Vineyards became one of the first black-owned wineries in California to sell commercially. My grandmother Rose took over in 1952. She expanded the operation, added Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, built the tasting room that still stands today. My mother Clara modernized everything in 1976. New fermentation tanks, temperature-controlled cellars. She turned Foster Family Vineyards into a respected name in Napa Valley. Then I took over in 1982. I was 26 years old, fresh out of UC Davis with a degree in viticulture. My husband James had just finished his civil engineering degree. We had plans, big plans. James was the one who encouraged me to think beyond traditional winemaking. "You are good at growing grapes, Marianne," he would say, "but you are better at solving problems." What problems do winemakers face every day? Quality control, I told him. Knowing exactly when to harvest. Understanding sugar levels, acidity, tannin development. It is all guesswork. Then stop guessing, he said. Build something that gives you answers. That conversation changed everything. James was an engineer. I was a scientist. Together we started experimenting in our garage. We built sensors that could analyze grape chemistry in real time, measure sugar content without crushing the fruit, track fermentation progress without opening the tanks. By 1988, I had a working prototype, patent number US 11842567, automated grape quality analysis system. I thought it would help our vineyard. Instead, it revolutionized the entire wine industry. Other vintners wanted the technology. Equipment manufacturers wanted to license it. Within 3 years, VitaTech Systems was born. We started small, just James and me, working out of a converted barn on our property. But the technology worked. It saved winemakers time and money. It improved wine quality across the board. By 2000, VitaTech had 912 patents, offices in 19 countries, 2,650 employees, and a valuation of $520 million. But I never told Vanessa any of this. I wanted her to build her own life, make her own success, not rely on her mother's money. James agreed. "Let her find her own path," he would say. "She will respect herself more if she earns what she has." So we lived simply, drove regular trucks, shopped at regular stores, kept running the vineyard the way my great-grandmother had. The technology company was just business. The vineyard was home. James died 4 years ago, heart attack while pruning vines. He was 62 years old. One moment he was talking about harvest timing, the next moment he was gone. I found his engineering notebooks after the funeral, 40 years of notes, sketches, ideas. His handwriting filled every page. One entry from 1987 caught my eye. "Marianne does not realize how brilliant she is. She thinks she is just a farmer, but she sees patterns that engineers miss. She understands systems that scientists cannot explain. Whatever she builds will change the world." I kept those notebooks in my office. Sometimes I would open them and read his words, hear his voice, feel like he was still here, still believing in me. Vanessa never asked about her father's notebooks, never asked about the locked office, never wondered why I flew to San Francisco every month. She just assumed her old mother was confused, living in the past, clinging to memories. She had no idea I was running a $500 million company from that office, that the monthly trips were board meetings, that the confusion she saw was actually me juggling 2 completely different lives. But I was about to stop juggling because Vanessa had forced my hand. When you steal from family, you do not get to stay in the shadows anymore. The truth was coming, and it was going to hurt. I found out about the sale on October 10th. I had been home from rehabilitation for 6 days. I was sorting through the mail when I found a letter from Golden State Properties. "Thank you for your recent land sale. Construction on Foster Heritage Commons Shopping Center will begin November 1st. Foster Heritage Commons. They were naming their shopping center after our family. The family whose vineyard they just erased. I called the bank. The sale was legitimate. Power of attorney properly executed, all signatures verified. I called Vanessa. Oh, her voice was casual, like she had sold a used car instead of 4 generations of family history. Yeah, I handled that while you were sick. Figured it was time. Time for what? Time to liquidate some assets. Mom, you nearly died. Someone had to be practical about our financial situation. Our financial situation. As if she had been supporting me instead of the other way around. You sold the vineyard for $1.4 million. It is worth $4.2. According to who? Some county assessor? Mom, I got market value. Golden State Properties does not overpay for anything. She was right about that. Golden State Properties was notoriously cheap. They specialized in buying undervalued properties from desperate families. What Vanessa did not know was who owned Golden State Properties. But that conversation would come later. For now, I just needed to understand the scope of what she had done. Where is the money, Vanessa? Invested in our future. Derek and I made some moves while you were recovering. Moves. Like 7 weeks in Santorini was an investment strategy. I want to see the documentation. Mom, you are still recovering. Let me handle the business side of things. That phrase, let me handle things. The same phrase she had used at dinner. The same phrase she had used to justify taking control of my life while I was unconscious. She had stolen from me. But more than that, she had stolen my choice, my agency, my right to decide what happened to my own property. And she had done it with a smile, calling it love. I called her back the next day. October 11th, 3 p.m. Vanessa, we need to talk. Mom, I am at work. Can this wait? She worked for NorCal Wine Exports, wine distribution manager. $84,000 a year selling wine to restaurants and retailers. People who actually worked in the industry. No, it cannot wait. You sold my vineyard. Silence. Then a sigh. Our vineyard. And yes, I handled that situation. You handled it? I did not sign anything authorizing a sale. You signed the power of attorney for medical decisions, for financial decisions too. Derek found a lawyer who explained everything. When someone is incapacitated, family has to step up. Derek found a lawyer. Of course he did. I was not incapacitated. I was unconscious. Same thing legally. It was not the same thing. But Vanessa had clearly prepared for this conversation. You want to explain why you sold $4.2 million worth of land for 1.4? Where are you getting 4.2, Mom? That is fantasy numbers. County appraisal done 8 months ago for estate planning. County appraisals are not market value. Look, I know this is hard, but someone had to make the tough decisions. Tough decisions. She was talking like she had saved the family from bankruptcy instead of stealing from her mother. What tough decisions? I have no debt. The vineyard was profitable. Profitable? Mom, you made maybe $45,000 last year on wine sales. $45,000. She thought that was my only income. There are other considerations. What other considerations? Mom, I have seen your finances. You live on Social Security, and whatever the wine brings in. That is not sustainable. She had seen my finances. My vineyard finances. Not my real finances. You had no right. I had power of attorney. I had every right. Her voice was getting sharper. The Respectful Daughter Act was wearing thin. That power of attorney was for emergency medical decisions. It was for everything. Derek made sure of that. There it was. Derek made sure. This was not Vanessa's idea alone. This was a plan. Let me ask you something, daughter. Did you read the contract before you signed it? What contract? The sale contract with Golden State Properties. Of course I read it. I am not stupid. Good. Then you know who owns Golden State Properties. Pause. Longer this time. Some development company. Does it matter? It matters to me. Why? I let the silence stretch. Let her wonder. Mom, you are being paranoid. This is exactly what I was worried about. You are not thinking clearly. Not thinking clearly. The same phrase Derek had used. The same phrase they had probably practiced together. I am thinking very clearly. Are you? Because you sound confused. Look, I know change is hard for old people. Old people. There it was again. I am not confused, Vanessa. And I am not stupid. I did not say you were stupid. You sold my land to fund a vacation with your husband. We did not vacation. We invested in experiences. There is a difference. Invested in experiences. $9,000 hotel rooms were an investment now. You spent $108,000 in 7 weeks. How do you know that? Instagram. Derek documented everything. He documented our trip. People post vacation photos. People do not usually post receipts. $450 wine, $5,000 shopping sprees, helicopter tours of the caldera. That is our business. It became my business when you used my money to pay for it. Your money? Mom. That money came from the Vineyard sale. The Vineyard you could not manage anymore. Could not manage. Past tense. Like I was already dead. I managed that vineyard for 42 years. And now it is time for someone else to manage things. Someone else. Meaning her. You think you can manage better than me? I think I can manage more realistically. Mom, you were holding on to a property you could not afford to maintain. Trying to grow grapes, you were too old to harvest. Living in a house that needed $60,000 in repairs. None of that was true, but it sounded good, sounded reasonable, sounded like a caring daughter making hard choices for an aging mother. The house is fine, the roof leaks, the foundation has cracks, the plumbing is from the 1970s. She had obviously prepared this list, probably with Derek's help, and you fixed all these problems by selling to developers? I solved the problems by liquidating an asset that was becoming a liability. Liquidating an asset. She was talking like a financial consultant instead of a daughter. Whose asset was it, Vanessa? Yours, but you were not in a position to make rational decisions. Rational decisions. According to her, any decision that did not involve selling was irrational. And you were? Someone had to be. Someone had to be. Or someone wanted to be. What is that supposed to mean? It means you wanted the money. I wanted security for all of us. Mom, you nearly died. What if you had another heart attack? What if you needed long-term care? What if the vineyard had sat empty for years? What if? What if? What if? She was creating hypothetical emergencies to justify actual theft. But I did not die. But you could have. I could get hit by lightning tomorrow. That does not give you the right to sell my truck today. This is different. How? Because you are not 30 anymore. Because things happen. Because someone has to plan for reality. Reality. Her reality. Where I was too old. Too sick. Too confused to control my own life. You want to know about reality, daughter? I think I know plenty about reality. Do you? Because here is a reality check for you. You did not just sell my vineyard. What are you talking about? You sold it to me. Silence. What? Golden State Properties. Check the incorporation papers. Mom, you are not making sense. I am making perfect sense. You just sold my land to my company. Your company? Mom, you do not have a company. Do I not? You are a vineyard owner. Am I? I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, working through the implications. Prove it, old woman. And there it was, the mask finally off, the real Vanessa underneath. Prove it, old woman. I will. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, staring at the same oak table where we had eaten dinner as a family for 35 years, where Vanessa had done her homework, where I had taught her to read wine labels, where she had looked me in the eye and called me an old woman. I made coffee, real coffee, not the instant stuff I usually drank. Then I walked to the part of the house Vanessa had never seen, my office. Most people do not lock doors inside their own homes. But I had always kept this room private, old habit from the early days when corporate espionage was a real concern. The lock was electronic, biometric. Fingerprint scanner installed in 2000 when VitaTech went public. Inside, everything was exactly as I had left it before my heart attack. 3 computers, 2 phones, filing cabinets full of patent documents, SEC filings, and corporate records. The walls covered with framed newspaper clippings I had never shown anyone. Local vintner invents revolutionary grape sensor. Napa Valley Register, March 22, 1988. Fosters agricultural innovation, secures international contracts. San Francisco Chronicle, August 15, 1993. VitaTech Systems IPO raises $380 million. Wall Street Journal, November 7, 2000. The Quiet Billionaire. Marianne Foster's Invisible Empire. Forbes, April 12, 2020. 40 years of building something Vanessa could not imagine because I had never told her about it. I had wanted her to make her own way, build her own success, earn her own respect. Instead, she had stolen mine. I picked up the secure phone, the one with a direct line to San Francisco. Patricia, it is Marianne. Patricia Coleman had been my attorney for 28 years, corporate law specialist. The woman who had helped structure VitaTech's expansion into 19 countries. Marianne, how are you feeling? I heard about the surgery. I am fine, but I need you to do something for me. Name it. I need you to reactivate my full authority at VitaTech. And I need copies of all Golden State Properties paperwork. Pause. Golden State? Marianne, that is one of our subsidiary companies. What do you need with Golden State paperwork? My daughter sold my vineyard to them. Your daughter sold your vineyard to us? She does not know it is us. Patricia laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, this is beautiful. What did she sell it for? $1.4 million. Jesus, Marianne. That property is worth $4.5 million easy. What was she thinking? She was thinking her old mother was too stupid to notice, and now she is about to learn who really owns Golden State Properties. When do you want to do this? Soon, but I want it done right, public, with witnesses. I love the way you think. What did you have in mind? Town Council meeting, November 8th. Golden State is supposed to present their development plans for Foster Heritage Commons. Foster Heritage Commons? They are naming the shopping center after our family. The irony is perfect. What do you need from me? Everything. Incorporation documents, ownership structure, SEC filings. And I want you there. I would not miss it. Marianne? Yeah? She really called you an old woman? Those were her exact words. Well, she is about to meet a very wealthy old woman. After I hung up, I opened my laptop, password protected, encrypted, connected to VitaTech's private network. 912 active patents, 87 international offices, 2,650 employees, current valuation $520 million. All of it built from one invention, one grape analyzer that could measure sugar content, acidity, and tannin levels in real time. I had spent 40 years turning that analyzer into an empire. But I had lived like a vintner because I was a vintner. The business was just business. The vineyard was home. Until Vanessa sold it. Now the business was personal. I opened my email. 51 unread messages from the San Francisco office. Board meeting requests. Acquisition proposals. Quarterly reports waiting for my approval. I had been away for 4 months. The company had continued running without me because that is how I had built it. But my signature still mattered. My approval still carried weight. My 76% ownership stake still meant I controlled everything. Vanessa thought she had sold the vineyard to some random development company. She had actually sold it to me, and she was about to find out what that meant. I opened James's engineering notebook, the one from 1987. His handwriting filled the pages, sketches of sensor designs, calculations, notes in the margins. One page was dated June 14th, 1987, the day before he proposed to me. Marianne showed me her prototype today. I told her it would not work. The sensors are too sensitive, the calibration too complex. She proved me wrong in 20 minutes. That is when I knew. I am not just in love with a brilliant woman. I am in love with someone who will change the world, and I want to be there when she does it. I traced his words with my finger. He had been there. Every patent, every breakthrough, every expansion. James had believed in me when nobody else did. When venture capitalists said a black woman vintner could not build a technology company. When competitors said our sensors would never work in real vineyard conditions. When investors said we should move to Silicon Valley to be taken seriously, James had said, "Prove them wrong, Marianne. You always do." He died before he could see how right he was. 4 years ago this November. Heart attack at 62 while pruning vines in the North Vineyard. The same vineyard Vanessa had just sold. I closed the notebook carefully, placed it back in the drawer next to the others. 40 years of James's thoughts, his dreams. His unwavering belief that I could do anything I set my mind to. Vanessa had never asked about these notebooks, never wondered what her father had been working on. Never cared about the partnership that had built everything she was now trying to steal. That was about to change. The town council meeting was scheduled for November 8th, 7:30 p.m. at Napa Valley Community Center. I had not planned to attend, but then I got the call. "Mrs. Foster, this is Diana Martinez from the town council. We understand your daughter sold your vineyard to Golden State Properties." "That is correct." "Well, Golden State has requested to present their development plans at tonight's meeting for Foster Heritage Commons Shopping Center. We thought you might want to be there." "I will be there." "Great. Oh, and Mrs. Foster, your daughter Vanessa called. She said she would be presenting on behalf of the family." "On behalf of the family, of course she would." I arrived early. 7:15 p.m. The community center held 92 people when packed. Tonight it was about 2/3 full. Local vintners, business owners, town council members, the usual crowd for development presentations. Vanessa was already there, front row, wearing her best suit, navy blue, probably cost her 2 months' salary. Derek beside her, live streaming everything for his Instagram followers. "Good evening, Napa Valley," he said into his phone. "We are here at the town council meeting where my wife is about to present some exciting news about our family's contribution to the community." Our family's contribution. He was spinning the sale as philanthropy. I took a seat in the back row. Vanessa did not see me come in. Council Chairman Robert Hayes called the meeting to order. First item tonight is the Golden State Properties presentation regarding the proposed Foster Heritage Commons Shopping Center. Vanessa Foster will present on behalf of the family. Vanessa stood up. Confident, polished, ready to take credit for selling her mother's legacy. "Thank you, Chairman Hayes, council members, fellow citizens." She had practiced this speech, probably with Derek coaching her. Tonight represents a new chapter for Napa Valley, a chapter where we embrace progress instead of clinging to the past. Clinging to the past. That was me she was talking about. For 4 generations, the Foster family has owned 560 acres in the heart of Napa Valley. Good land, productive vines. But wine alone is not enough anymore. Wine alone is not enough. According to who? My mother, Marianne Foster, spent her life working that land. But at 68, after a serious heart attack, she recognized that it was time for change. She recognized like I had made the decision myself. So, we made the difficult choice to sell the property to Golden State Properties. Not for personal gain, but for community benefit. Not for personal gain. Tell that to the Santorini Resort. Foster. Heritage Commons will bring jobs to our community, retail opportunities, economic growth, a legacy that serves everyone instead of just one family. The crowd was nodding. It sounded good. Progressive, forward-thinking. Derek was recording everything, whispering commentary to his phone. So proud of my wife for making these tough decisions, Vanessa continued. This was not an easy choice. Selling family land never is. But sometimes we have to think beyond ourselves. Think beyond ourselves. Like spending $108,000 on vacation was thinking beyond herself. I know some people might question whether this was the right decision. Whether an old vintner should have let go of her life's work. An old vintner. There it was again. But I want to assure everyone that this decision was made with full family consent and careful consideration. Full family consent. I was sitting 25 feet behind her. My mother may not be here tonight, but she supports this development 100%. That is when I stood up. Actually, your mother is here. The room went quiet. Vanessa spun around, face going white. Mom, what are you doing here? Listening to you lie. Derek's live stream captured everything. His follower count was probably spiking. Chairman Hayes looked confused. Mrs. Foster, would you like to address the council? I would. I walked to the front. Vanessa was still standing there. Frozen. Move aside, daughter. She moved. I faced the crowd. 92 people watching. Derek's phone still recording. My name is Marianne Foster. I own the vineyard my daughter just told you about. Owned, past tense, because while I was unconscious in the hospital, she sold it. Murmurs from the crowd. This was not what they had expected. My daughter told you this decision was made with full family consent. That is false. She forged a power of attorney and sold my property without my knowledge or permission. Vanessa found her voice. Mom, you are confused. We discussed this. We discussed it after you had already sold it. You signed the papers. I signed medical power of attorney, not financial. Chairman Hayes was looking between us like a tennis match. Ladies, perhaps this is a family matter that should be discussed privately. No, I said. This is exactly where it should be discussed, publicly. With witnesses. I turned to Vanessa. You want to tell these people what you got for my vineyard? It is we got fair market value. How much, Vanessa? Mom, the specific numbers are not $1.4 million, I said, for 560 acres of prime Napa Valley vineyard land. The crowd was stirring now. That was cheap, even by California standards. And you want to tell them what you did with that money? Vanessa's jaw was tight. We invested it. In what? Various opportunities. Specifically, Mom, this is not the place. 7 weeks in Santorini, Greece, $9,000 per night. Helicopter tours, shopping sprees, wine that costs more than most people make in a day. Derek had stopped live streaming. This was not going according to plan. Vanessa tried to regain control. My mother is still recovering from major surgery. She is not thinking clearly about complex financial decisions. I am thinking very clearly. Are you? Because you seem to be making accusations. I am stating facts. You stole my vineyard. You lied to this council. And you are standing there taking credit for community service when all you did was fund your vacation. Mom, you are embarrassing yourself. Am I? Let me ask you something, daughter. In front of all these people. Do you know who owns Golden State Properties? Vanessa's face went pale again. Some development company. Which development company? I do not. It does not matter who owns it. It matters to me. Because I want these people to know exactly who you sold my vineyard to. Mom, stop. Who owns Golden State Properties, Vanessa? I do not know. You do not know. You sold 560 acres of family land to a company you know nothing about. The crowd was completely silent now. Even Derek had put his phone down. You want to know who owns Golden State Properties? Mom, please? I do. The words hung in the air like smoke. Vanessa stared at me. What? I own Golden State Properties, 76% stake, incorporated in Delaware, 2019. That is impossible. Is it? You sold my vineyard to my company, daughter. For a third of what it is worth. Vanessa looked like she had been hit by a truck. You are lying. Am I? I turned to the crowd. I would like to introduce someone who can verify what I am telling you. The community center doors opened. Patricia Coleman walked in carrying a briefcase. This is Patricia Coleman, General Counsel for VitaTech Systems. Patricia opened her briefcase, pulled out a stack of documents. Ladies and gentlemen, I have here the incorporation papers for Golden State Properties, subsidiary of VitaTech Systems. Marianne Foster, majority shareholder. The room exploded in whispers. Vanessa was still staring at me. You are a vintner. I am a lot of things, daughter. But you drive a Chevy Silverado. You shop at Costco. Yes, I do. You live in the same house that my great-grandmother built. Yes. But how? How did a simple vineyard owner build a $520 million technology company? Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. That is a conversation for another time, Vanessa. Right now, we have a more immediate problem. What problem? You committed fraud. And you did it in front of 92 witnesses. The community center was dead silent. You could hear the air conditioning humming overhead. Vanessa was standing there like a statue, still processing what I just said. Derek had gone completely white, clutching his phone like a lifeline. Chairman Hayes cleared his throat. Mrs. Foster, which Mrs. Foster should I be addressing? The one who actually owns the property, I said. Patricia stepped forward. Documents in hand, professional as always. 28 years of corporate law had taught her how to command a room. If I may, Chairman Hayes, I would like to present some documentation for the record. She spread papers across the presentation table. These are the incorporation documents for Golden State Properties. Filed in Delaware on April 8, 2019. As you can see, Golden State is a wholly owned subsidiary of VitaTech Systems. Murmurs from the crowd. People were leaning forward trying to see the documents. And this, Patricia continued, is the shareholder registry for VitaTech Systems. Marianne Foster holds 76% of all shares, making her the controlling owner of both companies. She looked up at Vanessa. Which means when you sold your mother's vineyard to Golden State Properties, you essentially sold it to your mother. But that is Vanessa started then stopped. That is impossible. Which part is impossible? I asked. That I own the companies? Or that you sold to me? You are a vintner. I am a vintner. I am also the founder and majority shareholder of VitaTech Systems, a company that develops wine and agricultural technology for vintners worldwide. Patricia pulled out another document. Perhaps this will help clarify things. She held up a Forbes magazine. April 2020 issue. The cover story. The Quiet Billionaire. Marianne Foster's Invisible Empire. She opened to the article. Started reading. Marianne Foster prefers denim shirts to designer suits, Chevy Silverados to luxury cars, and Napa Valley to Silicon Valley. But do not let the humble exterior fool you. This 68-year-old vintner has quietly built one of America's most successful wine technology companies. Vanessa grabbed the magazine, stared at her mother's picture on page 34. Current net worth, $520 million. Patricia continued. built from a single patent for an automated grape quality analyzer. VitaTech Systems now operates in 19 countries and holds over 912 patents in wine and agricultural technology. The crowd was buzzing now, people pulling out their phones, probably Googling VitaTech Systems. Derek found his voice. "This is fake. You are making this up." Patricia smiled. "Would you like to see the SEC filings? The tax records? The patent documents?" She opened her briefcase wider. "I brought everything, including the original patent filed by Marianne Foster in 1988, patent number US 1184257, Automated Grape Quality Analysis System. The same system that VitaTech has been licensing to major wine equipment manufacturers for the past 30 years. Vanessa was still staring at the Forbes article. "But you drive a 2019 Silverado. It gets good gas mileage. You shop at Costco. They have good prices. You live in a house from 1921. It is a good house. My great-grandmother built it to last. But why?" That was the question I had been expecting. The question that mattered more than the money or the companies or the patents. "Because I am a vintner, Vanessa. That is what I have always been. The technology company exists to serve vintners, to make their lives easier, to help them grow better grapes with less effort." I looked around the room. Most of these people were in the wine industry. They understood. I did not build VitaTech to get rich. I built it to solve problems. When I invented that grape analyzer in 1988, it was because I was tired of guessing about harvest timing. I wanted data, real information. "But $520 million, Derek whispered, "is the result of helping vintners make better decisions for 36 years. Every patent, every product, every innovation was designed to make winemaking more efficient." Patricia pulled out another document, the company's mission statement, written by Marianne Foster in 1988. "To provide vintners with the technological tools they need to produce exceptional wine sustainably and profitably." "I never changed that mission," I said. "Never moved to San Francisco. Never stopped growing grapes. Never stopped living like a vintner. The money goes back into research and development. 85% of VitaTech's profits are reinvested in new wine technology innovations." Chairman Hayes was shaking his head. "Mrs. Foster, with all due respect, why did no one know about this?" "Because I did not want them to know. The moment people find out you have money, they treat you differently. They stop seeing you as a vintner and start seeing you as a bank account." I looked at Vanessa. "Case in point." "But Mom, if I had known." "If you had known what? You would have treated me with respect? You would have valued my opinion? You would have asked permission before selling my property?" "I would have." "You would have what, Vanessa? Respected me? Loved me? Treated me like family?" The room was quiet again. "This was getting personal now. You called me an old woman. You said I was too confused to make financial decisions. You sold my life's work to pay for your vacation." "Mom, I did not know. You did not know because you never asked. You never listened. You assumed that because I wear denim shirts and drive a Silverado, I must be poor and stupid." Derek was crying now. Quietly, but visibly. "You want to know the real tragedy here?" I continued. "It is not that you sold the vineyard. It is not even that you stole from me. It is that you did it while thinking you were smarter than me." Vanessa was looking at her shoes. "Mom, I am sorry." "Are you? Are you sorry you stole from me? Or are you sorry you got caught?" "I am sorry I made a mistake." "A mistake?" "Vanessa, fraud is not a mistake. It is a felony." That got her attention. "Fraud?" Patricia stepped forward again. "Falsifying a power of attorney document is fraud under California Penal Code Section 484. Selling property without proper authorization is grand theft. Both are felonies. But I thought the lawyer said." "What lawyer?" Patricia asked. Vanessa looked at Derek. He was still crying. Some lawyer Derek found online. He said the power of attorney covered financial decisions. Did you show him the actual document? No, Derek handled that part. Patricia smiled, not a friendly smile. Well, I have seen the actual document. It specifically limits authority to medical decisions only. Financial decisions require separate documentation, but the bank accepted it. The bank made an error. They have been notified. They are conducting their own investigation. Chairman Hayes was looking overwhelmed. So what happens now? I looked at Vanessa, my daughter, the girl I taught to identify grape varieties by taste, the woman who had just stolen my life's work. That depends on Vanessa. What do you mean? I mean she has some choices to make. She can cooperate with the legal process, make restitution, try to rebuild some trust, or she can continue pretending she is the victim here. Mom, I never meant. You meant to sell my vineyard without my permission. You meant to take the money and spend it on yourself. You meant to lie to this town council about family consent. But I thought you were going to die. So that made it okay? I thought I was protecting our family's interests. By stealing from your family? By securing our financial future. Our financial future. Vanessa, you work for NorCal Wine Exports. You make $84,000 a year. Before today, that was your entire connection to our financial future. The number hit her like a slap. She had probably never told anyone her exact salary. Now, I continued, you are unemployed. What? VitaTech Systems owns 34% of NorCal Wine Exports. As of today, your employment is terminated. You cannot do that. I just did. Patricia pulled out her phone. I sent the termination notice 2 hours ago. Vanessa stared at her, then at me. You are destroying my life. I am not destroying anything, daughter. I am just revealing what you built. What I built? A house of cards built on theft, lies, and disrespect. It was always going to fall down. I just chose when. The room was completely silent now. Even Derek had stopped crying. So, what happens next? Vanessa asked, her voice small. Next, you are going to learn what consequences look like. I turned to Chairman Hayes. Before we continue, I would like to make something clear to the council and to everyone here. Golden State Properties will not be building Foster Heritage Commons Shopping Center. What? Derek's voice cracked. The development is canceled, effective immediately. Vanessa found her voice. You cannot do that. There are contracts, legal obligations. Patricia opened her briefcase again. Actually, there are no legal obligations. The sale contract contains a standard 10-day review period. That period expires tomorrow. What does that mean? Chairman Hayes asked. It means VitaTech Systems is exercising its right to cancel the purchase agreement, but the money, Vanessa started, will be returned to Golden State Properties, which means it goes back to VitaTech, which means it goes back to me. I looked at Vanessa. The $1.4 million you spent on vacation, that is still your debt. Her face went white again. My debt? You sold property that was not yours to sell. You spent money that was not yours to spend. The law calls that conversion. Civil law calls it damages. But I do not have $1.4 million. I know. That is your problem. Derek was back to crying. But we already spent it. Yes, you did. On a 7-week vacation that cost $108,000. What about the rest? Good question, Vanessa. Where is the other $16,000? She was quiet for a moment. Then, investments. What kind of investments? Derek started a wine marketing agency. We needed startup capital. A wine marketing agency. I looked at Derek, still crying, scrolling through his phone. probably deleting Instagram posts. What kind of marketing does your husband do, Vanessa? Social media strategy, influencer campaigns, building brand awareness. I nodded. How many clients does he have? It is still early stage. How many clients, Vanessa? We are developing the client base. 0 clients, I said. He spent $16,000 on a business with 0 clients. It takes time to build a brand. It takes customers to build a business. Patricia was making notes. For the record, spending misappropriated funds on speculative investments does not reduce civil liability. Meaning what? Derek asked. Meaning you still owe the money, whether you spend it wisely or foolishly. I turned back to Vanessa. But that is just the civil side. There is also the criminal side. Criminal, fraud, grand theft. Both felonies in California. Mom, you are not going to press charges against your own daughter. Am I not? The question hung there. You stole from me, Vanessa. You forged legal documents. You lied to financial institutions. You committed crimes. But I am family. Family does not steal from family. I made a mistake. You made choice. Multiple choice over multiple days. This was not a mistake. This was a plan. Derek was scrolling faster through his phone, probably deleting Instagram posts. It will not matter, I told him. Screenshots are forever. Especially when they show you spending stolen money. He looked up at me. I did not know it was stolen. You helped plan it. I helped Vanessa make financial decisions for her family. Her family? You have been married 3 years. I built that vineyard over 42 years. But Vanessa said you could not manage it anymore. Vanessa was wrong about a lot of things. I looked around the room, 92 people watching my family fall apart in public. This is what happens when greed meets stupidity. When entitlement meets reality. When you underestimate the wrong person. Chairman Hayes cleared his throat. Mrs. Foster, what are your intentions regarding the property? The vineyard? It is going back to wine production. And the development plans? Cancelled. Golden State Properties will restore the land to its original condition. What about the community's development needs? Talk to me in a year. When this is all settled, maybe we can discuss real development. Development that serves the community instead of serving developers. Vanessa was staring at me. Mom, what do you want me to do? I want you to face the consequences of your choices. What consequences? Criminal charges will be filed tomorrow morning. Civil lawsuit by the end of the week. For how much? $3.4 million. $3.4 million. The sale was only 1.4. The sale was for 1.4. The actual value is 4.2. The difference is 2.8 million. That is the amount of my damages, plus the 108,000 you spent. But I do not have 3.4 million. I know. I do not have any money. I know that too. So what happens? Asset forfeiture, wage garnishment, bankruptcy, whatever it takes to collect what you owe. Derek looked up from his phone. What about our condo? Is it paid for? We have a mortgage. Then it depends on the equity, if there is any. What about Vanessa's job? She does not have a job anymore. What about my business? You do not have a business. You have a website and an Instagram account. The reality was sinking in. They had no money, no income, no assets, but they had debts. Big debts. However, I continued, there is one option. Vanessa looked up. Hope flickering. Full cooperation with the criminal investigation. Complete financial disclosure. Public acknowledgement of wrongdoing. And restitution. What kind of restitution? Community service. 1,200 hours at local vineyards. Learning what actual work looks like. 1,200 hours? 20 hours a week for 60 weeks. You will learn viticulture from the ground up. And if I do that, I will consider reducing the civil damages to actual expenses. $108,000 instead of $3.4 million. And the criminal charges? That is up to the prosecutor, but cooperation might result in reduced charges. Vanessa looked at Derek. He was still crying. We do not have $108,000 either. Then you will make payments. For as long as it takes. Mom, this is my life you are talking about. It is the life you chose, daughter. When you chose to steal from your family, I turned to Chairman Hayes. I apologize for disrupting your meeting, but I wanted the community to understand what really happened here. No apology necessary, Mrs. Foster. This has been illuminating. I looked at Vanessa one more time. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. Criminal charges get filed at 9 a.m., with or without your cooperation. Mom. Do not call me Mom. You lost that right when you sold my vineyard. I walked toward the door. Patricia gathered her papers and followed. As I reached the exit, I turned back. Oh, and Vanessa? You might want to update your LinkedIn profile. You are going to need a new job. The last thing I heard as the door closed was Derek's voice. What the hell are we going to do now? That was not my problem anymore. The story hit the San Francisco Chronicle 3 days later. Billionaire vintner stops daughter's land fraud. Front page. Complete with Vanessa's mugshot and a photo of our vineyard. The reporter had done her homework. She had interviewed town council members, pulled corporate records, and somehow gotten hold of Derek's Instagram posts from Santorini. The photos looked different in newspaper print, more pathetic. Champagne and helicopter tours while your mother recovers from heart surgery does not read well in black and white. Vanessa was arrested on November 11th. Fraud, grand theft, falsifying documents. The prosecutor added conspiracy charges when they reviewed Derek's involvement in planning the scheme. Her bail was set at $55,000. She could not make it. Derek tried to start a GoFundMe. Help Vanessa Foster, victim of family legal conflict. It raised $284 before GoFundMe shut it down for fraud. Local TV picked up the story, then CNN, then Fox News. By the end of the week, billionaire vintner versus greedy daughter was trending on Twitter. Derek's Instagram followers jumped from 18,000 to 52,000. People following him for entertainment value, watching the slow-motion disaster of their lives. He tried to monetize it. Authentic lifestyle content from a real family crisis. Brands were not interested. Authentic or not, fraud was not a good look for sponsors. Vanessa pled guilty on December 20th. The prosecutor had offered a deal: 6 years probation, 1,200 hours of community service, and full restitution, in exchange for admitting guilt and cooperating with the civil case. She took the deal. Derek filed for divorce 3 weeks later. Irreconcilable differences. He kept his Instagram account. She kept the debt. The vineyard was restored by January 15th. Golden State Properties had to remove all survey markers, engineering stakes, and construction permits. Cost them $52,000. I hired 4 local contractors for the work. Napa Valley companies. Napa Valley workers. The town council formally apologized to me at their January meeting. I accepted graciously. No hard feelings. They had been lied to like everyone else. Vita Tech Systems established the Foster Agricultural Scholarship Fund, $2.5 million endowment. Full-ride scholarships for children from wine, country families who want to study viticulture or agricultural technology. The first recipient was Keisha Hayes, Chairman Hayes's granddaughter, straight-A student. 4-H champion. Wanted to study wine science at UC Davis. I attended her award ceremony, wore my best denim shirt. Vanessa started her community service in February, 20 hours a week at Eleanor Brooks' family vineyard, 6 miles south of our property. Mrs. Brooks was 73 years old. A black woman who had been growing grapes in Napa Valley for 46 years. She put Vanessa to work pruning vines, testing soil, monitoring fermentation tanks, manual labor, real viticulture. No air conditioning, no corporate credit card, no Instagram photo opportunities, just work. The civil case settled in March. Vanessa agreed to pay $108,000 in restitution. Payment plan: $550 per month for 18 years. She got a job at Valley Wine Shop, minimum wage. Stocking shelves and running the register. Selling wine to tourists who spent more on a single bottle than she made in a day. It was honest work. The first honest work she had done in years. I saw her there once, April 22nd. I was buying supplies for spring planting. She looked different, thinner, older, humbler. She nodded when she saw me. I nodded back. We did not speak. But she rang up my purchase without complaint, treated me like a customer instead of a mark. It was progress. The vineyard is producing again. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Chardonnay. Same varietals my great-grandmother planted. Vitatech's latest grape sensors are embedded throughout the property. Real-time data on everything growing there. The technology serves the winemaking like it should, like it always has. People ask me if I forgive her. It is the wrong question. Forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened. It is about accepting what happened and choosing how to move forward. Vanessa chose to steal from her family. I chose to hold her accountable. She chose lies and greed. I chose truth and consequences. Those were not emotional choices. They were practical ones. Respect is not inherited. It is earned. And family does not mean you get to steal from people who love you. Vanessa is learning that now, the hard way, but she is learning. 18 months after the town council meeting, I received a letter, handwritten, not typed. Dear Mom, I do not expect you to read this. I do not expect you to respond, but I need to write it anyway. Mrs. Brooks taught me something yesterday. We were pruning the Cabernet vines in the South Vineyard. The same work you have been doing for 42 years. The same work great-grandmother Eliza did in 1921. My hands were bleeding, my back was aching, and Mrs. Brooks looked at me and said, "This is what your mother did every day while building a $520 million company." She never forgot where she came from. That is when I understood. You did not hide your success because you were ashamed. You hid it because you knew what really mattered. The vines. The land. The work. I spent my whole life thinking you were simple, thinking I was smarter, thinking I deserved more. I was wrong about everything. I have completed 800 hours of my community service, 400 left to go. I have paid $6,600 of my restitution. 101,400 left to go. I will be making payments until I am 54 years old. But that is not the real punishment. The real punishment is knowing what I threw away. Not the money, not the vineyard. You, your respect, your trust, your love. I do not know if I can ever earn those back, but I am trying. Mrs. Brooks says trying is the first step. She says you spent 40 years proving yourself to people who underestimated you. She says maybe I can spend 18 years doing the same. I am not asking for forgiveness. I am not asking you to call me. I am just asking you to know that I finally understand. You were never just a vintner. You were never just my mother. You were someone who changed the world. And I was too stupid to see it. Vanessa. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in James's desk drawer, next to his engineering notebooks, next to the Forbes article, next to the patent documents. Evidence that people can change, that consequences can teach, that 18 years is a long time to learn respect. I did not respond to the letter, not yet, but I kept it, maybe in a year. When Vanessa has finished her community service, when she has made more payments, when she has learned what honest work actually feels like, maybe then we can have a different conversation. Maybe we can rebuild something real. But it will not be built on money or inheritance or family obligation. It will be built on respect, mutual respect, earned respect, the only kind that lasts. Have you ever had family take advantage of your trust? Let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people closest to us, but those lessons, when learned, are the ones that change everything. Where are you listening from right now? What city? What state? What country? Drop it in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach across the world. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Share it if you know someone whose family turned on them the moment they saw dollar signs. Someone who was called confused, outdated, too old to manage their own life. Someone who was underestimated by the people who should have known better. Subscribe because I have more stories about people who documented everything, who proved everyone wrong, and who showed that respect is earned, not inherited. Thanks for listening to Marianne's story. Remember that underestimating someone because they live simply is a dangerous mistake. That family does not give you the right to steal. That consequences matter more than apologies. That respect is earned, not inherited. And that sometimes the people who look the simplest have built the most extraordinary things. Marianne spent 42 years growing grapes and building a $520 million technology company. She never told anyone, never showed off, never stopped living like a vintner. Because the work mattered more than the recognition, the vines mattered more than the money. And when her daughter tried to steal it all, Marianne proved that quiet strength is the most powerful kind. See you in the next story.